The retired old man is a nuisance. A young man's voice echoed through the meeting room. At that moment, a warm liquid trickled down from my head. It was coffee. Ah, the old man's bald head is so smooth it looks like a slide. Raymond's mocking voice sent a chill through the meeting room. However, the reason for the tension was far different from what he had expected. I stood up quietly, wiping my face with the sleeve of my coffee-soaked suit. Then, I slowly turned toward Raymond. Do you realize how serious the consequences of your actions could be? Ha? What are you talking about, old man? You trying to get yourself fired? At that moment, the meeting room door flew open. Peter. I deeply apologize for such a disgraceful act. Mr. Nelson? Why are you bowing to this old man? Ignoring Raymond, the director, Nelson bowed deeply to me. Mr. Owens, we will take strict action regarding this individual. Mr.? The atmosphere in the meeting room shifted instantly. The blood drained from Raymond's face. Do you have anything else to say? The room fell silent, the weight of my calm tone pressing heavily on the air. Raymond opened his mouth as if to speak, but no words came out. Young people like you are the ones who carry the future of this company. That's why this matter will be dealt with thoroughly and appropriately. At my words, Raymond's face turned pale. He finally began to understand the situation he was in. That said, you still have potential. Show me how you plan to recover from this failure. Let's see what you're truly capable of. With my suit still damp with coffee, I slowly began to walk away. Now, your real work begins. My name is Peter. I'm 57 years old this year. Although I hold the title of chairman overseeing a group of 50 companies, I am currently working as just another new employee. Over 30 years ago, I started out at a small factory. The president at the time recognized my potential, and I gradually climbed to positions of greater responsibility. Then, 10 years ago, that same president suddenly entrusted me with managing the entire group. But I always had my doubts. Was I truly capable of bearing this immense responsibility? Had I lost touch with the voices from the ground level? These questions grew stronger with each passing day. So I made a decision. I would conceal my identity and work as a new employee to experience the reality of the workplace firsthand. Of course, I enlisted the help of Mr. Nelson and the HR manager, Dominic, who were aware of my plan. The department I was assigned to was a new business division I had established before becoming chairman. It had transformed significantly since then, now filled with young employees. None of them were aware of who I really was. 1 month had passed since I began working as a new hire. I had witnessed the fresh ideas of the younger employees and, at times, their unreasonable behavior. And today marked a turning point. This morning, I showed up to work as usual. I chose an older suit than usual and styled my hair to emphasize my gray strands. I stepped into the elevator, heading for the office floor. When the door opened, the office was already bustling with young employees hard at work. Among them was Raymond, a new hire who had recently caught my attention. He was talented but had a reputation for being arrogant towards senior employees, which had raised concerns. I quietly made my way to my desk and checked the sticky note with the day's tasks. It read, 9:30 a.m. General Meeting. Looking at the clock, I saw there were 15 minutes left. Grabbing my materials, I headed toward the meeting room. On the way, Michelle, a colleague from my department, called out to me. Good morning, Peter. Today's meeting feels a bit nerve-wracking, doesn't it? Good morning, Michelle. Don't worry, you'll do great. She smiled slightly, looking a little reassured by my words. Michelle, now in her 3rd year at the company, always worked diligently and showed great respect toward her senior colleagues. When I entered the meeting room, a few employees were already seated. I quietly took my seat and began reviewing the materials. The pivotal meeting was about to begin. Little did I know, the events of this day would drastically change my life. 30 minutes had passed since the general meeting began. It was clear that Trevor, the manager, was losing the young employee's focus with his overly long explanations. I noticed Raymond, seated next to me, secretly fiddling with his phone. Suddenly, Trevor directed a question at him. "Raymond, what's your opinion on the points I just explained?" Startled, Raymond quickly looked up, scrambling to hide the fact that he hadn't been paying attention. Yes. He hesitated, his words faltering as he glanced around to gauge the reactions of those around him. Seeing this, I quietly whispered the correct answer. Raymond immediately repeated it, narrowly escaping the awkward situation. Trevor nodded in satisfaction and continued with his explanation. Raymond gave me a small nod of acknowledgement, but his eyes still carried a hint of disdain. As the meeting concluded and employees began to leave their seats, Raymond approached me. "Hey, Peter. Thanks for earlier. Don't mention it. But listen, old man, don't get cocky. Just because you helped me out doesn't mean you can act like you're something special. That wasn't my intention. Whatever. Buy me lunch. Consider it payback." Before I could refuse, Raymond walked away. With a deep sigh, I returned to my desk. When lunchtime came, I kept my promise and headed to the cafeteria with Raymond. He began ordering one expensive dish after another, showing no concern for my wallet. It's been a while since I've had such a fancy meal. Thanks, old man. Maybe so, but Raymond, if you're eating on the company's expense account, you should be a bit more modest. Who do you think you are, lecturing me while spending someone else's money? It's not like you're earning much anyway. Expenses are the company's money. We all need to use it responsibly. Shut up. It's none of your business, old man. Raymond ignored my words and wolfed down his meal with gusto. Other employees glanced at us discreetly, their expressions hard to read. The embarrassment and frustration made it hard for me to swallow my food. After the meal, we returned to the office, where Raymond confidently started talking to his peers. "Man, that new old guy is seriously annoying. You again? Stop bullying Peter." "I'm not bullying him. He's the one who keeps sticking his nose into my business. Don't you think Peter's pretty capable? He's always thorough with his work." "What? That old man? No matter what he does, it's not worth much. We're way more competent than he'll ever be." I overheard their conversation as I headed back to my desk. While I knew Raymond's attitude needed to be corrected, I struggled with the limitations of my position as a new hire. Just then, Dominic entered the room. "Everyone, gather around. I have an important announcement." As the employees assembled, Dominic began speaking with a stern expression. There was a critical error in the project proposal submitted last month. We've received a serious complaint from the client. A wave of unease rippled through the employees. "Raymond, can you explain what happened?" Caught off guard, Raymond couldn't hide his anxiety. Yes, well. It seems the data you used in your report was outdated, from last year. Because of that, the client was presented with incorrect recommendations. That can't be. It's a fact, and we have the evidence. Your carelessness has caused significant damage to the company. Raymond's face turned pale. The other employees exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of disappointment and pity. "Raymond, you'll need to take responsibility for this. Details of the consequences will be communicated later." With that, Dominic left the room. Raymond stood frozen, unsure of how to respond. I approached him and spoke softly. "Are you okay? Let me know if there's anything I can do to help." "Shut up. What could an old guy like you possibly do? Just stay out of my way." Raymond shouted angrily and stormed out of the room. The remaining employees exchanged confused and uneasy glances. Michelle came over to me. "Peter, I'm worried about Raymond. Yeah, I am too. But unless he realizes it himself, nothing will change. You're right. But if you're willing to support him, I'll help too. Thanks, Michelle. Your kindness will surely reach him someday. That afternoon, Raymond was nowhere to be seen. He was likely summoned to HR. By evening, Raymond finally returned. His expression was somber, and his usual arrogance was gone. I casually approached him. Raymond, are you all right? For a moment, he looked like he was about to lash out but quickly slumped his shoulders in resignation. Yeah, I guess. If there's anything I can do to help, don't hesitate to ask. All right. His response was curt, but at least I wasn't met with insults. I hoped this might be the first step toward improving our relationship. As the workday drew to a close, Raymond unusually showed a willingness to work overtime. He was likely trying to make up for his mistake. I decided to stay as well, making it seem casual. While keeping an eye on Raymond, I continued with my own work. Around 9 p.m., Raymond finally stood up from his desk. He was packing his belongings, his face weary with exhaustion. Good job today, Raymond. You worked really hard. Whatever. If your house is far, I can lend you money for a taxi. No, thank you. His response was curt, but it lacked the hostility he once displayed. It felt like something inside him was starting to change, albeit slowly. The next morning, Raymond arrived at the office earlier than usual. He seemed to be revising the documents from the previous day, preparing to resubmit them. I casually approached his desk. Good morning, Raymond. You're here early. Good morning. To my surprise, Raymond responded with polite language. Are you fixing the documents? Need a hand? He hesitated for a moment but then nodded slightly. Please. We worked together in silence, focusing on the task. Watching Raymond work, it became clear how skilled he was. However, many of his mistakes stemmed from a lack of experience. When lunchtime arrived, while others headed to the cafeteria, Raymond remained at his desk. Raymond, aren't you going for lunch? No, I need to finish this. I see. Well, why don't you eat this while you work? I pulled out the rice balls I had brought from home. Really? Are you sure? Of course, go ahead. Looking a little flustered, he accepted the rice balls. Thank you. For a moment, I thought I saw tears glistening in his eyes. However, he quickly turned away and resumed his work. By 3 p.m., the revisions were finally complete. Raymond took a deep breath and headed to the HR department to submit them. 30 minutes later, he returned. Judging by his expression, things seemed to have gone well. Peter. How did it go? They accepted it, somehow. Good, that's great news. It's all thanks to you, Peter. I really appreciate it. Raymond bowed deeply. The other employees watched the scene with expressions of surprise. From that moment on, Raymond's behavior began to change. His attitude towards senior employees softened, and he started taking his work more seriously. However, this was merely the tip of the iceberg. The deeper, underlying issues within him remained unresolved. It would be some time before those issues came to the surface. About a month had passed since Raymond's attitude began to improve. He approached his work more earnestly than before, and his reputation among colleagues was gradually rising. Yet, beneath the surface, a new problem was brewing. Amid these changes, a new project was initiated. It was a large-scale endeavor aimed at expanding the company's customer base. Trevor carefully deliberated on who to appoint as the project leader. The person chosen was Mary from the HR department. She is 34 years old. Since joining the company, she has made a name for herself in the HR department, becoming the youngest manager in its history. After earning her MBA overseas, she successfully reformed the company's HR systems, earning the nickname the Princess of HR. Mary, I'd like you to lead this project. Me? I'm honored. Yes. I want you to bring a fresh perspective to this team, using your experience in HR and the latest management theories you've learned abroad. I'll give it my all. However, this decision caused ripples within the department. Senior employees expressed dissatisfaction with Mary's appointment. Why is someone so young being made the leader? Exactly. She only knows HR, how can she handle this? Even among younger employees, there were complaints. Why Mary? We have ideas too. Yeah, she always gets the spotlight. Seeing the growing tension, I decided to discuss it with Trevor. Trevor, it seems Mary's appointment as leader is creating a negative atmosphere in the department. I'm aware. But I think this is a valuable opportunity for both Mary and the department as a whole. What do you mean? I want Mary to demonstrate leadership outside of HR. And I want the other employees to develop the flexibility to embrace new perspectives. I see. Peter, I'd like you to be the sub-leader for this project, supporting Mary. Me? Yes. You can act as a bridge between Mary and the rest of the team. After a moment of thought, I made my decision. I see. I'll do my best. The next day, the first project meeting was held. Mary stood in front of the team, looking nervous. For this project, we aim to acquire new customers while improving satisfaction among existing ones. However, the atmosphere in the meeting room was cold. No one seemed willing to share their opinions. I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts, she said hesitantly. Well, isn't it the leader's job to decide on the direction? Someone muttered. Mary couldn't hide her unease. At that moment, I spoke up. Everyone, this project isn't just Mary's, it's ours. Together, we'll build something great. Let's combine our experiences and knowledge to achieve the best results. My words seemed to break the ice, and slowly, the employees started sharing their ideas. Mary also regained her composure, and the discussion turned constructive. After the meeting, Mary approached me. Peter, thank you. No, you did great, Mary. Let's keep working hard together. She nodded shyly. However, this harmony didn't last long. As the project progressed, Mary's tendency to act unilaterally became increasingly apparent. One day, she suddenly presented a new advertisement concept. Everyone, look at this. This will definitely capture the hearts of young people. But, Mary, won't this alienate our existing customers? It'll be fine. We'll attract so many new customers that it'll more than make up for it. The employees exchanged uneasy glances. I, too, felt that proceeding with this approach was risky. Mary, can I have a word with you? I called Mary into a separate room. I understand your enthusiasm, but wouldn't it be wiser to proceed more cautiously? But, Peter, if we miss this chance, our competitors will beat us to it. I get it, but the risks are too high. We need to consider the overall balance. That's enough. You're just stuck in old ways of thinking, Peter. Mary stormed out of the room in anger. Despite my advice, Mary went ahead and published the advertisement based on her own judgment. The results were disastrous. While new customers did increase, the number of existing customers leaving far outweighed the gains. Trevor was furious. Mary, what have you done? But we gained new customers, didn't we? Fool. Neglecting existing customers isn't how we sustain the company's profits. Mary lowered her head, silently enduring the scolding. You're no longer fit to lead this project. From now on, Peter will take over as the leader. I see. After Trevor left, I approached Mary. Mary, you were right, Peter. I should have listened to you. I'm just not cut out for this. That's not true. Yes, you failed this time, but you have talent. Use this experience to grow. Do you really think so? Yes, I do. Let's work together to turn things around. Mary gave a small nod. However, her eyes reflected a mix of complex emotions. After this incident, Mary's attitude began to change. The proactive spirit she once had seemed to fade, and she appeared to lose confidence. Over time, she started coming in late and missing work more frequently. Under my leadership, the project managed to get back on track. However, every time I saw Mary, I felt a pang of guilt. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had failed to nurture her potential properly. This experience taught me the complexities and importance of talent development. It also made me reflect deeply on how to guide the younger generation, who would shape the company's future. 2 weeks had passed since Raymond's sudden resignation. The atmosphere in the department remained heavy, with anxiety and tension lingering among the employees. Amid this, a new crisis arose. One morning, Trevor burst into the office, his face pale. "This is bad. Raymond has been leaking our confidential information on social media." The office erupted in shock. "What do you mean?" Trevor pulled out his phone and showed Raymond's social media account. It was filled with posts exposing company secrets and personal information about employees. "This is going to cause serious problems." I quickly reviewed the posts. They included project details, client contracts, and even employee salary information. "This is severe," I said gravely. "Yes, we may need to consider legal action." At that moment, Michelle rushed over, looking alarmed. "It's spreading. Raymond's posts are going viral, and even the media are starting to pick it up." The situation was escalating rapidly. The company was thrown into chaos, with employees showing expressions of fear and anger as they tried to process what was happening. "Peter, I have a favor to ask." "Yes, what is it?" "I want you to try contacting Raymond. He might be willing to listen if it's you." I hesitated, but given the seriousness of the situation, I decided there was no other choice. "All right. I'll give it a try." I first called Raymond's old phone number, but it was no longer in service. I then tried sending a direct message on social media, only to find his accounts deactivated. Still, refusing to give up, I eventually discovered information about a cafe he frequently visited. I decided to take a chance. The next morning, I waited at that cafe. 3 hours after it opened, Raymond finally appeared. "Raymond." He looked startled when he saw me, but his expression quickly turned hostile. "What do you want, old man? Haven't you bothered me enough? It's about your posts. They're too dangerous. Please, take them down immediately." "Ha, what's the point of saying that now? You all treated me like I didn't matter. That was never anyone's intention. We valued your talent, that's why." "Shut up. Don't give me that nonsense. In the end, I was just disposable to you, wasn't I?" I could see tears welling up in Raymond's eyes. It was clear that anger, sadness, and regret were all swirling within him. "Raymond, we've always cared about you. We still do. Liar. You all betrayed me." His voice rose, drawing the attention of other customers in the cafe. "Calm down and listen to me. Your actions are hurting a lot of people. Are you really okay with that? Why should I care? I was hurt too. I want them to feel the same pain. But will that truly make you happy?" For a moment, Raymond was at a loss for words. "You have incredible talent. There are still plenty of ways to use it for good. Well, let's figure out a solution together. We can direct your energy towards something positive." Raymond remained silent, his expression conflicted. I slowly approached him and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone. We're here for you." At that moment, tears streamed down his face. What have I done? It's not too late. Let's fix this together." Raymond continued crying for a while, then finally looked up. "All right. I'll delete the posts. I breathed a sigh of relief. But I knew this was only the beginning of addressing the problem. After leaving the cafe, I accompanied Raymond back to the company. When we entered the office, employees stared at us with a mix of surprise and suspicion. Trevor hurried over. Raymond. Raymond bowed deeply. I'm sorry. I've deleted all the posts and posted an apology statement. Trevor's stern expression softened slightly with relief. Got it. But your actions have caused a serious problem. What do you plan to do now? I'm prepared to accept any punishment. Standing beside Raymond, I turned to Trevor and said, Trevor, Raymond's actions were indeed problematic, but he still has room to grow. Could we consider giving him another chance? Trevor's expression remained stern. I understand how you feel, Peter, but this isn't a matter that can be easily forgiven. At that moment, voices began to rise from the surrounding employees. I think Raymond deserves another chance too. I agree. His talent is undeniable. One after another, voices in support of Raymond emerged. Trevor looked visibly conflicted. Everyone. I leaned closer to Trevor and spoke in a low voice. Trevor, what if we turn this crisis into an opportunity? We could use Raymond's experience to strengthen our information security and improve our young employee development programs. After a moment of thought, Trevor slowly nodded. All right. Raymond, you'll be given another chance, but under strict conditions. A glimmer of hope returned to Raymond's eyes. Yes, I'll accept any conditions. First, you will serve a 6-month unpaid suspension. During this time, you will study information security and participate in community service. Afterward, we will reassess your suitability for returning to the company. Yes, I understand. Thank you very much. And Peter, I'd like you to oversee Raymond's rehabilitation program. Yes, I'll take full responsibility. A collective sigh of relief spread through the office. The immediate crisis was averted, but the path ahead would be far from easy. Over the following months, Raymond faced his mistakes head-on and worked diligently. He received guidance from information security experts and began initiatives to share his new knowledge within the company. He also actively participated in local volunteer activities, rebuilding his connection with society. As his supervisor, I closely monitored his progress. There were times when I had to be stern, and other times when I offered words of encouragement. Gradually, Raymond began to change. His arrogance faded, replaced by a genuine expression of gratitude toward those around him. 6 months later, the day of Raymond's reinstatement review arrived. As I watched him enter the meeting room with a tense expression, I couldn't resist offering a few words. Do your best. Raymond gave a small nod and disappeared behind the door. An hour later, he returned with a bright smile. I did it, Peter. They approved my reinstatement. Congratulations. You worked hard for this. It's all thanks to everyone's support. Thank you so much. Raymond's reinstatement brought a renewed sense of energy to the department. His experience significantly contributed to strengthening the company's information security and improving the young employee training programs. Moreover, his transformation had a positive impact on his colleagues, fostering better communication throughout the department. 6 months after the crisis, the company achieved its highest ever performance. Trevor, addressing all employees, expressed his gratitude. Thank you all for delivering such outstanding results. I especially want to acknowledge Raymond for overcoming challenges and creating new value. And Peter for his unwavering support. A thunderous round of applause filled the room. Raymond bowed shyly, and I responded humbly. That evening, the department held a celebration. Raymond approached me during the event. Peter, thank you so much. I don't think I'd be here today without you. No, it's all thanks to your own efforts. I just gave you a little push. Not at all. You've been a true mentor and leader to me. Please continue to guide me. Of course. Let's keep working hard together. We smiled and toasted together, marking the beginning of a brighter chapter. Through this experience, I once again realized the importance of believing in the value and potential of every employee. I etched this lesson into my heart, determined to share it with all employees as chairman of the group overseeing 50 companies. As the department began to regain its calm atmosphere, a new challenge awaited us. A large-scale project was launched to review the overall management strategy for the entire group. This project aimed to assemble top talent from various departments to create strategies tailored to the demands of a new era. I decided to join this project, once again as an ordinary employee. Of course, I kept my position as chairman a secret. My goal was to better understand the employees' true thoughts and uncover challenges at the ground level. On the first day of the project, the team members gathered in the meeting room, their faces tense with anticipation. Soon, Mary, the project leader, entered the room. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary, and I'll be leading this project. I look forward to working with you. Mary is 34 years old. She has over a decade of experience in the HR department and holds an overseas MBA. She was a rising star who had successfully reformed the group's HR systems and earned the title the Princess of HR. Her abilities were highly regarded both inside and outside the company, and she was expected to become a key leader for the next generation. Let me briefly share my background. Since joining the company, I've been involved in various reforms within the HR department. Notably, 3 years ago, I led an HR reform initiative that simultaneously boosted employee motivation and improved company performance. The team members listened attentively, impressed by her achievements. Additionally, I've applied what I learned during my MBA studies to analyze our company's challenges from a global perspective. I aim to leverage these insights to their fullest extent in this project. Her confident demeanor evoked a mix of hope and apprehension among the team members. Now, let's discuss the purpose of this project. Our company has become too reliant on past successes and is at risk of falling behind the times. Bold reforms are essential. Her words drew frowns from some of the senior members. Specifically, we need to reconsider seniority-based promotions, introduce a merit-based system, and her proposals systematically rejected traditional systems one after another. While they were undoubtedly innovative, they seemed like impractical theories that ignored the realities of the workplace. I raised my hand quietly. Mary, may I ask a question? Yes, please. Your proposals are fresh and forward-thinking. However, don't you think it's essential to consider feedback from the front lines? Mary's expression stiffened slightly. Peter, was it? Thank you for your input. However, we can't let ourselves be swayed by the voices from the field if we want to drive real change. Sometimes bold decisions are necessary. But reforms that ignore the field can. Excuse me, but as the project leader, I make the decisions. This is my approach. Her words froze the atmosphere in the meeting room. The other members also wore expressions of confusion and hesitation. That day's meeting proceeded under Mary's unilateral direction, with little input from others. After the meeting, I overheard some team members whispering in the hallway. With that attitude, there's no way this project will succeed. But she's the HR ace. Nobody can oppose her. I silently listened to their conversation. It was clear that the project was headed for failure if things continued like this. However, as an ordinary employee, my ability to exert significant influence was limited. I decided to take a different approach. I began by having individual discussions with key people from various departments to gather feedback from the front lines. A conversation with George, an experienced employee in the sales department. Reforms are necessary, sure. But we can't disregard the trust we've built with our clients over the years. A discussion with Matthew, a mid-level worker in manufacturing. Merit-based systems sound good, but manufacturing takes time. If we focus only on short-term results, quality will suffer. I carefully compiled these insights into a comprehensive report. The day of the project's midterm review arrived. Now, let's begin the midterm review. I'll start by explaining the overall direction and then. Excuse me, Mary. Yes? What is it, Peter? May I share a brief report with the group? Mary's expression clearly showed displeasure, but sensing the team's attention on her, she reluctantly agreed. Fine. Please keep it brief. I stood up and displayed the presentation materials I had prepared. Over the past month, I've gathered input from various departments. What became clear is that while reforms are necessary, we must also preserve the strengths that define our company. The team members listened attentively, intrigued by my presentation. For instance, in the sales department, long-standing trust with clients is a powerful asset. In the manufacturing department, quality management over the long term is a significant strength. We need reforms that strike a balance, incorporating new initiatives while leveraging these existing advantages. When I finished my presentation, applause erupted in the room. Many team members were nodding in agreement. Meanwhile, Mary's expression remained stiff. Peter, it seems you've done some thorough research. But such lukewarm reforms won't keep us competitive. Mary, isn't the essence of reform to improve the company? Lowering employee morale would defeat the purpose. If you say that, we'll never achieve meaningful change. Mary's voice grew louder and sharper. At that moment, the meeting room door opened, and Mr. Nelson, the project's overall supervisor, entered. Mary, calm down. Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson glanced at me and nodded subtly. Peter's insights are worth considering. His experience and perspective are invaluable to this project. Mary looked speechless, her expression confused. Mary, your passion and fresh ideas are excellent. But to bring them to fruition, you must also listen to the voices from the field. Work with Peter to create an even better reform plan. Mary reluctantly nodded. I understand. From that day forward, the project's direction shifted significantly. Mary and I, despite our differences, began recognizing each other's strengths and collaborating effectively. Peter, to be honest, I was resistant at first. But listening to you made me realize how narrow my perspective had been. Not at all, Mary. It's your innovative ideas that have brought this project closer to success. The two of us shared a laugh. Seeing this exchange, the other team members also showed relieved expressions. The project progressed smoothly, and the day of the final report arrived. Executives from the group companies gathered in the venue. Now, we'll begin the final report. This project aimed to integrate innovative reforms with traditional strengths. I joined Mary on stage, providing supplementary explanations. Specifically, we propose introducing a hybrid seniority and merit-based HR system, establishing a mentor-mentee pairing program between veterans and younger employees, and as the presentation continued, the atmosphere in the room began to shift. The executives' eyes lit up, and their nods became more frequent. After the presentation, Mr. Nelson stood up. This is an excellent proposal. It maintains employee motivation while preparing us for the new era. Let's implement it immediately. A wave of applause erupted in the room. Mary and I exchanged a look of shared accomplishment. However, this success triggered a new development. After the project concluded, Mary received a directive from the HR department. She was appointed as the president of one of the group companies. Peter, I've been appointed as a company president. Congratulations. You're more than capable of excelling in this role. But, can I really handle such a huge responsibility? You can. Through this project, you've grown tremendously. And most importantly, you've learned not to shoulder everything alone but to listen to those around you. Mary nodded, her eyes glistening with tears. Thank you. I feel so fortunate to have a wonderful mentor like you, Peter. No, it goes both ways. I learned a lot from you as well. After Mary transitioned to her new role as president, the project's results steadily began to bear fruit. The company atmosphere became more vibrant, and young employees' opinions were increasingly welcomed. Performance metrics also showed consistent upward growth. One day, Mr. Nelson visited my desk. Peter, excellent work. As expected, you are. Mr. Nelson, let's not discuss that here, I interrupted. Mr. Nelson paused, then nodded slightly. Right. However, it might be time to reveal everything. Yes, I've been thinking the same. But please, allow me to continue in this position just a little longer. Mr. Nelson smiled softly and walked away. I stared out the window and let out a deep sigh of relief. Through this project, I had rediscovered the importance of the front lines and the potential of young talent. These lessons would undoubtedly become invaluable as I continued to lead all employees in my capacity as chairman. However, the day my true identity would be revealed was fast approaching. And it would arrive in a completely unexpected way. A few weeks after the project's success, the entire company was enveloped in a positive and forward-thinking atmosphere. But the peace didn't last. One morning, a wave of tension swept through the office. A major accounting scandal was uncovered at one of the group companies. Mr. Nelson entered the department with a grave expression. We're holding an emergency strategy meeting. Key members, gather in the conference room immediately. I headed to the meeting room as well. Inside, the heads of various departments had already gathered. I'll explain the situation, Nelson began. It has come to light that fraudulent accounting amounting to approximately $10 million occurred at Company A. We must resolve this swiftly and work to regain trust. The room erupted in murmurs. $10 million? Who could be behind this? Initial investigations suggest that the former president, Steve, and CFO, Norman, were the primary perpetrators. At that moment, Harvey, the HR director, spoke up. Steve, wasn't he the one we assigned as Mary's successor? Mr. Nelson nodded heavily. That's correct. It seems he deceived us all. I was stunned. Steve, who had been appointed as Mary's successor. His actions completely undermined all the effort she had put in. Anger welled up inside me. But succumbing to emotion wouldn't solve anything. I needed to approach this calmly. Mr. Nelson, do we have a response plan in place? Mr. Nelson looked at me, his expression softening with reassurance. Yes. First, we'll conduct a thorough investigation of the facts and communicate with all relevant parties. And then, as Mr. Nelson outlined the steps, my mind raced with strategies to address the crisis. How could we navigate through this challenge? After the meeting concluded and everyone began returning to their roles, Mr. Nelson stopped me. Peter, I have a favor to ask. Yes, what is it? I'd like to appoint you as the leader of this investigation and response effort. Me? Are you sure? Yes. I trust that you, with your balanced perspective, can resolve the situation fairly. I hesitated for a moment, but then resolved myself. I see. I'll give it everything I've got. Good. And, perhaps there's no need to keep your identity hidden any longer. I gave a small nod. Indeed, overcoming this crisis might require revealing my true position. A few days into the investigation, startling revelations came to light. Steve had been orchestrating systemic fraud from the moment he assumed his position. Even more shocking, Harvey was complicit in his actions. I immediately reported this to Mr. Nelson. Harvey was involved in this fraud? I can't believe it. Harvey, of all people. The evidence is clear. Harvey has been acquainted with Steve for years. And it seems he was the one who orchestrated Steve's placement in the first place. Mr. Nelson let out a deep sigh. I see. Summon Harvey immediately. We called Harvey to the meeting room. He entered, feigning ignorance. Is there an urgent matter? Harvey, it seems you were involved in the fraud at Company A, Mr. Nelson said sternly. Harvey's face immediately changed. What are you talking about? I was only. Enough, Harvey. We have all the evidence we need. I spread the incriminating documents across the table. Harvey's face turned pale. This isn't right. It was all Steve's doing. We have Steve's testimony as well. He stated that you were the one who approached him first. Harvey slumped into a chair, defeated. How did you figure it out? Peter's investigation uncovered the truth. His insight has been extraordinary. Harvey glared at me. Peter, when did you? At that moment, the meeting room door opened. Several police officers entered. You are under arrest as an accomplice in the fraudulent accounting case, one officer announced. Harvey offered no resistance, staring blankly. As he was being escorted out, he turned back to me and asked, Who are you really? I replied calmly. Just a new employee. Harvey's eyes widened in shock. Then, he was escorted out by the police officers. Left alone in the room, Mr. Nelson turned to me. Peter, no, Mr. Owens. Perhaps it's time to reveal the truth. Yes, it seems the time has come. The next day, an emergency meeting was held for all employees. The atmosphere in the hall was tense. Mr. Nelson stepped up to the podium and began speaking. Everyone, I deeply apologize for the recent scandal. However, we have already begun implementing measures to overcome this crisis. Murmurs spread through the crowd. And now, I would like to introduce the key person who made this possible. Someone you all know well. Nelson pointed toward me. Peter. In fact, he is none other than the chairman of our group, Mr. Nelson announced. The room erupted into murmurs of astonishment. Everyone wore expressions of shock and disbelief. I stepped onto the podium and took hold of the microphone. Everyone, I apologize for the confusion. I've been working alongside you as an ordinary employee to better understand the voices of the front lines. The room fell completely silent. Through this experience, I've learned so much. And now, in the face of this crisis, I've realized what actions we must take to move forward. I went on to explain the events leading up to the crisis and the measures we had implemented to address it. Finally, I concluded with these words. We will overcome this crisis. Together, we will rebuild this company to be stronger and more sincere than ever before. I ask for your support. A thunderous round of applause filled the room. I could see the spark of hope returning to the employees' eyes. After the gathering, many employees came up to me. Peter, no, Mr. Owens. We're here to fully support you. It's an honor to have worked alongside you, Mr. Owens. Please continue listening to the voices of the field. I responded to each of them with gratitude and sincerity. That evening, as I stayed late at the office working, there was a knock at my door. Come in. The door opened, and Mary entered. Peter, or rather, Mr. Owens, she said, bowing deeply. Please, Mary, just Peter is fine. How have you been? Mary bowed again, tears brimming in her eyes. I'm so sorry. My successor. Mary, this wasn't your fault. In fact, because of you, we were able to detect the issue early. What? The communication system you established allowed us to identify the signs of fraud quickly. Mary's eyes glistened with emotion. Thank you, Mr. Owens. I'll continue doing my best. I'll need your strength, Mary. Let's rebuild this company together. Mary nodded resolutely. For the next few months, we worked tirelessly. We uncovered the full extent of the fraud, implemented preventative measures, and focused on rebuilding trust. Finally, the day of the press conference arrived. Facing a room full of reporters, I began to speak. First, I would like to offer my deepest apologies for this scandal. We take full responsibility and have committed ourselves as a company to ensuring this never happens again. The reporters eagerly jotted down notes. Specifically, we have strengthened compliance measures, expanded our whistleblowing system, and I detailed our efforts and outlined our vision for the future. During the Q&A session, sharp questions were fired, but I addressed each one earnestly and with transparency. After the conference concluded, Mr. Nelson approached me. "Well done, Mr. Owens. That was an excellent press conference. Thank you. But this is just the beginning. Indeed, the real challenge starts now." That night, I returned home earlier than I had in a long time. My wife greeted me with a concerned expression. "Are you all right? You're not overworking yourself, are you?" "I'm fine. In fact, I feel clearer now that I know exactly what needs to be done." She smiled, relieved. "Still, I never imagined you'd go undercover as an ordinary employee. That's just like you. But thanks to that, you've learned a lot, haven't you?" "Yes, absolutely. I've experienced firsthand the struggles and joys of our employees. I'm confident that these experiences will prove invaluable for future management. I'm sure you'll do great." Filled with gratitude toward my wife, I renewed my determination for the challenges ahead. The next day at the office, the employees were more energetic than ever. "Good morning, Mr. Owens. Let's give it our best today." "Yes, let's work hard together." I envisioned the new company we would create after overcoming this crisis. And I was confident that this vision would become a reality in the not-too-distant future. Believing in the strength of each employee, I resolved to keep moving forward. A month had passed since the press conference, and the company was gradually recovering. However, a new issue emerged. A rival company, Golden Trading, was taking advantage of the scandal to try and steal one of our key clients. One day, George, the head of sales, rushed into my office in a panic. "Mr. Owens, it's serious. Golden Trading has approached Alpha Corp with a proposal offering unprecedented terms." "What? Tell me everything." George explained the information he had received from Alpha Corp's representative. Simon, the head of sales at Golden Trading, had personally visited Alpha Corp and offered exceptionally favorable terms. "I see. Let's go to Alpha Corp immediately." I headed to Alpha Corp with George. Upon arrival, I was met with a surprising sight at the reception area. Simon from Golden Trading was just walking out. When he saw us, he flashed a provocative smile. Well, Mr. Owens. Are you so worried about losing a client that you had to come here in person?" "Simon, fair competition is welcome. However, I won't tolerate unethical tactics." "Unethical? Continuing business with a company involved in a scandal like yours is what's truly unethical." His words stirred anger within me. However, losing my temper here would mean defeat. I took a deep breath and regained my composure. "We deeply regret our mistakes and are making every effort to restore trust. I believe it's only fair to let the client make their decision based on those efforts." Simon clicked his tongue and walked past us dismissively. We were then escorted to the president's office at Alpha Corporation. Middle-aged Mr. Snyder greeted us with a stern expression. "Mr. Owens, explain yourself. We've trusted your company for years. How could this happen?" "First, let me sincerely apologize." I bowed deeply and carefully explained the circumstances of the scandal and the measures we had taken to prevent a recurrence. "We are committed to transparency and will prioritize trust in our client relationships moving forward." Mr. Snyder folded his arms and pondered deeply before speaking. "I see. Your sincerity is clear. However, yes, Golden Trading's proposal is extremely attractive. Honestly, I'm torn." This was the critical moment. I steeled myself and began to speak. Mr. Snyder, please give us a chance. 3 months. If we can't provide more value than golden trading within that time, you're free to end our partnership. Mr. Snyder's eyes lit up with interest. That's an interesting proposal. What exactly do you have in mind? First, we'll develop new products utilizing our latest technology. Then, we'll significantly enhance after-sales service. Additionally, I outlined the detailed plan. Mr. Snyder listened intently, his expression serious. I see. I'll give you a 3-month grace period because of your passion. Thank you. I promise we'll exceed your expectations. When we returned to the office, I immediately called an emergency meeting. Everyone, the next 3 months are critical. Let's give everything we've got for Alpha Corporation. I could see the flames of determination in the eyes of the employees. For the next 3 months, the entire company worked as one. The development team debated late into the night, crafting new products, while the sales team thoroughly researched customer needs. I also spent as much time as possible in the field, working alongside the employees. Finally, the decisive day arrived. In Alpha Corp's meeting room, we delivered our final presentation. We showcased a demonstration of our new product, detailed our robust support system, and shared our vision for the future, holding nothing back. When the presentation ended, Mr. Snyder stood up. Impressive. Honestly, I didn't expect you to go this far. The air in the room shifted to one of relief. Mr. Owens, you've won. We'll continue our partnership with your company. Cheers erupted from the room. However, Mr. Snyder continued speaking. But this isn't the end. I expect you to take this experience and keep evolving. Of course, we'll do everything we can to meet your expectations. As we left the meeting room, we found Simon waiting in the hallway. Damn. I can't believe we lost. Simon, there are no absolutes in business. We may have won this time, but who knows what will happen next. Let's continue to push each other to improve. Although clearly frustrated, Simon gave a small nod before leaving. Back at the office, the employees welcomed us with a resounding cheer. You all worked incredibly hard. Let's use this momentum to aim even higher. Amidst the cheers, I silently made a vow. I would never again betray the trust of my employees or our clients. And I would make this company even better than it was before. That evening, I enjoyed a rare family dinner out. I'm so glad it worked out. It must have been incredibly tough for you, my wife said. Yes, but seeing how hard the employees worked, I couldn't give up. Dad, you were so cool. Thank you. But the real challenge starts now. As I looked at my family's smiles, I felt the weight of my responsibilities anew. At the same time, I felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. The next day at the office, the employees' eyes shone brighter than ever. A new day has begun. Let's give it our all today. Yes, Mr. Owens. Overcoming this crisis had made the company stronger, of that I was certain. Together with my employees, I was ready to tackle new challenges. With that determination in my heart, I set out to make the most of this new day. A year had passed since the contract renewal with Alpha Corporation. The company had rapidly recovered, with its performance climbing steadily upward. Yet, I still felt that something was missing. During a morning meeting one day, I addressed the employees. Everyone, you've done an incredible job over the past year. Thanks to you, the company has overcome the crisis and achieved remarkable growth. Pride was evident on the faces of the employees. But there's still more we must do, our duty to give back to society. A wave of murmurs spread through the room. We've come this far thanks to the support of so many people. Now, it's our turn to give back to society. I explained the framework of a new social contribution project. The plans covered a wide range of initiatives, including educational support for local children, environmental protection efforts, and assistance for small businesses. This project will require all of your efforts. Let's use our technology and experience to make society a better place. The employees' eyes began to sparkle. One by one, hands shot up. I'd like to start a programming class at a local school. I want to participate in environmental protection activities. I think we can use the company's technology. I'd like to take on the small business support initiative. Their enthusiasm moved me deeply. Thank you, everyone. Let's get started right away. The project advanced rapidly. Employees dedicated themselves to various activities in between their regular work. At local schools, programming classes led by employees became incredibly popular. Seeing the children's eyes light up with curiosity seemed to give the employees a strong sense of purpose. In environmental protection, we developed cleaning robots using our latest technology. These robots proved highly effective in cleaning local beaches and parks. For small business support, we provided our management expertise and technology free of charge. Many companies regained their footing, contributing to the revitalization of the local economy. One day, I visited a local welfare facility. There, I met an elderly man. "Are you the chairman of this company?" "Yes, I am. My grandson's been attending the programming classes your company runs. His attitude has completely changed recently." "Has he?" "That makes me very happy to hear. You're doing a good thing. Keep it up, all right?" I bowed deeply, feeling profoundly grateful for his words. 6 months after the project began, an unexpected visitor arrived one day. It was Simon from Golden Trading, our former rival. "Peter, no, Mr. Owens. I need to talk to you." I guided him to a meeting room. "Actually, your company's activities have inspired us. We're thinking of starting our own social contribution projects. Could you give us some advice?" I couldn't hide my surprise. For a former adversary to come seeking guidance like this was unexpected. "Of course. Let's work together and push each other to build better companies." I thought I saw tears glistening in Simon's eyes. Over time, the collaboration between our companies deepened, leading to the launch of a larger joint project. 1 year after the project began, a celebration was held to honor its success. The event was attended by employees, children who had benefited from the programming classes, small business owners we had supported, and many members of the community. Standing on stage, I looked around the room, overwhelmed with emotion. A year ago, we started this initiative. To be honest, I never imagined it would achieve such remarkable results. The room fell silent. "But it was your passion and hard work that made this miracle happen. You brightened the futures of children, saved businesses, and revitalized the community." I bowed deeply. "Thank you so much. Because of you, we've remembered the true mission of a company, not just to pursue profits but to contribute to society and the happiness of people. That is the true purpose of a company." A thunderous round of applause erupted. Just then, a small voice called out from the back of the room. "Excuse me, Mr. Owens." I turned to see a young girl from the programming class raising her hand. "Yes, what is it?" "I want to grow up to be just like you, Mr. Owens." Her words brought warm smiles to everyone in the room. "Thank you. I'm sure you'll become an even greater chairman than I am." I gave the girl a thumbs up. The girl, beaming with joy, returned the gesture with her own thumbs up. Watching this moment, my chest swelled with emotion. I realized that this, people's smiles and a future filled with hope, was what I had truly been seeking. Not profits or fame, but the happiness of others. As the event ended and I was about to leave, Mr. Nelson approached me. "Mr. Owens, that was a magnificent speech. To think we've achieved so much, it's incredible. I'm just as amazed." The strength and dedication of our employees are truly remarkable. By the way, Mr. Owens, don't you think it's about time? Yes, I think my role here has been fulfilled. And regarding your successor, I've already decided. She will undoubtedly make both the company and society better. She? You don't mean? Yes, it's Mary. Mr. Nelson looked surprised but quickly nodded in understanding. The following week, I announced my retirement and the new leadership at a press conference. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has supported me over the years. I am pleased to announce that Mary will be taking over as the next chairman. As murmurs filled the room, Mary stepped forward. I promise to uphold our traditions while striving for innovation. Above all, I pledge to ensure that we remain a company dedicated to contributing to society. After the press conference, Mary approached me. Mr. Owens. I mean, Peter. Are you really sure about this? And trusting someone like me? Mary, you have all the qualities you need. I'm confident you'll be a better chairman than I ever was. Tears glistened in Mary's eyes. Thank you. I promise to live up to your expectations. I'm counting on you. Just promise me one thing. Of course. What is it? Make it a habit to visit the front lines and listen to the voices of the employees. That's the most important lesson I've learned. Mary nodded firmly. That evening, I celebrated with a small toast at home with my family. You've had a truly incredible career as chairman, my wife said warmly. Thank you. But perhaps this is the beginning of my real life. Dad, what are you going to do next? Well, maybe some volunteer work in the community. And I want to spend more time with all of you. Looking at my family's smiles, I felt a deep sense of happiness. The next morning, the same sun rose as always. But my heart was filled with renewed hope. I had no concerns about the company. Under Mary's leadership, it would undoubtedly continue to thrive. And I still had so much left to do. All right, time to start a new chapter in life. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward into a new future. I vowed to continue doing everything I could to bring happiness to others. With that resolve, my new journey began. As for Steve, the mastermind behind the accounting fraud, and Harvey, his accomplice, their fates were grim. Steve was sentenced to 7 years in prison after his trial. In his days behind bars, he was forced to confront the enormity of his crimes. Gone were the days of luxury, he now struggled with the harsh reality of life in a small prison cell. Harvey received a suspended sentence but had completely lost his social credibility. Unable to find stable employment, Harvey drifted from one part-time job to another. His once high-paying lifestyle now felt like a distant memory. One day, while working at a convenience store, Harvey unexpectedly ran into a former colleague. Harvey. I can't believe it's you. Yeah. Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help? No, thank you. This is the result of my own actions. Shortly after, Harvey moved away, leaving no trace of his whereabouts. Simon, too, had lost his position at Golden Trading. He was held accountable for the failed negotiations with Alpha Corp and was demoted. Now, he worked quietly in a small, rural branch office. Each time he recalled his past glory, Simon was consumed by waves of regret. If only I had competed more honorably back then. One day, Simon spotted me in town. After retiring, I devoted myself to community volunteer work. Smiling faces naturally gathered around me. Simon stopped and watched the scene for a while. Then, he murmured softly, "That man, he chose the right path." With those words, tears glistened in Simon's eyes. They were tears of regret, but also tears of newfound determination. Thus, those who had strayed found their own ways to atone. Their lives became a testament to the importance of living honestly. 5 years had passed since my retirement. My life had become more fulfilling than ever before. Having stepped away from the company, I devoted myself entirely to community volunteer work. Through an initiative I named the Future Nurturing Association, I engaged in a wide range of activities. From supporting the education of underprivileged children to assisting the elderly in their daily lives. The countless smiles I encountered through this work had become my greatest source of joy. I also spent more time with my family. My wife and I enjoyed what felt like a second honeymoon, and playing with my grandchildren in the park had become a cherished weekend ritual. Each time I saw their smiling faces, I knew I had made the right choice. Recently, I gave a lecture at a local elementary school. It's important to have dreams. But what's even more important is using those dreams to help others. Seeing the serious expressions on the children's faces, I felt a profound sense of hope for the future. After the lecture, a young boy approached me. "Peter, when I grow up, I want to do work that helps people." I gently patted the boy's head and replied, "You can definitely do it. Your smile will become someone's hope." The company, under the leadership of the new president, Mary, continued to thrive. While she occasionally sought my advice, I mostly supported her from a distance, respecting her autonomy. Recently, Mary visited me. "Peter, thanks to you, the company is doing well. But there's one thing I'm struggling with." "What is it?" "I'm not sure if I'm truly connecting with each and every employee the way you did." I gave her a reassuring smile and said, "Mary, you're doing an excellent job. What's important is to always remain humble. If you can do that, your words and actions will surely reach the hearts of your employees." She nodded with a look of relief. "My life now may not be glamorous, but my heart is filled with a profound sense of fulfillment. Surrounded by the smiles of others, I spend each day discovering new joys and lessons. Sometimes, as I gaze out the window into the distance, I murmur to myself, retirement may exist in life, but there's no such thing as giving up entirely. With that, I step out once again toward the people who need me. My new journey of challenges continues. And if this challenge can bring even a small ray of light into someone's life, I truly feel that would be my greatest happiness.